Vibe coding is this idea that you need not to worry about what the code is, what the technology is getting used, and how it is running. You just figure out what you want to build and you can give it to a machine and the machine builds it for you. That's the idea of vibe coding. So before we had chatbots, so we had Q&A agents, but this year in 2025, we have unleashed agents which can code. And what that means is that at runtime, you can figure out which code to call. Based on your prompts, I can decide which functions to call to build your software at runtime. That's the largest, biggest unblock for society or for all of us. And because of this whole vibe coding is possible. I think for PMs, vibe coding is still a tool to show your product sense, show your ecosystem understanding, and show that you bring AI product building, especially when you're vibe coding. Take it more like a drawing board. Like, I don't know how many of you have interviewed with Google, but if you interview with Google, they give you a guide on how to prepare for interview. Tips to succeed, which we just talked about, which is show your product thinking and decision making. AI specific evaluation, so that edit button and talk about that evaluation piece. Build transparent and bring the limitations and learn how to build this in production. Some people will ask you how to do it, will take you to production. Then you can bring in these tools like Prompt Flow in Azure or Flow in AWS, Microsoft Copilot Studio, Power Automate, and you can say that I will transition this into that. Good to see you here. Welcome. If you're joining for the first time, my name is Mahesh, and today we're talking about vibe coding. We're taking it to the next level. We talked about vibe coding a couple of weeks ago, I believe. So I did this session. The video is already on YouTube. Arjita or some Karan or somebody from our team should put the video of vibe coding AIPM. End of this session, what you should be able to know is 3 or 4 things, which is what is vibe coding? Why is it important for product managers or builders? How to prepare for it, and how to approach a vibe coding interview. And hopefully you can see me simulating the whole interview and showing you what people do wrong and how I will approach it. Hi, I'm Mahesh. I have worked at all the big companies and I teach a course on Maven. I am working also on my own thing, building agents for back office. I believe that there is a lot of grudge work humanity is doing, which we can take away. I do this session every Friday so that all of this community can come together and actually learn together. And we try to push boundaries on this. One other thing is, if you want these sessions, you can scan this form. Okay, what is vibe coding and tool comparison? Let's go through that quickly. Vibe coding is this idea that Andres Karapathy kind of, I think, popularized with this idea of vibe coding. It was already there, but this idea that you need not to worry about what the code is, what the technology is getting used, and how it is running. You just figure out what you want to build and you can give it to a machine and the machine builds it for you. And then when you look at it, you try it, you go and say, make this work, make this less, make this more, or add this, delete this, and it goes and does it for you. That's the idea of vibe coding. One other thing that now, how this vibe coding became possible is this idea of an unblock of code agents. So before we had chatbots, so we had Q&A agents, but this year in 2025, we have unleashed agents which can code. And what that means is that at runtime, you can figure out which code to call. Okay, so you have all the functions, you can write code, but based on your prompts, I can decide which functions to call to build your software at runtime. That's the largest, biggest unblock for society or for all of us, that now agents can write code. And because of this whole vibe coding is possible. So this is what 60 years ago, if you wanted to write code, you were writing if, while, else loop. Then what happened is 20 years ago, we came up with loops. We came up with object-oriented programming. We introduced DAGs, which is a graphical way to represent information. You have loop, but now there is something else. Then we got LLMs, and the first iterations of LLM is just like every other iteration, where you call an LLM and the LLM helps you decide, but you are coding everything and telling it what to do, and you achieve your goals. But then with agents, what's possible for you is that you send an event, you say, hey, I want to build an app which automates contract processing or extract contract terms from a contract, and some LLM determines the next step, decides which API to call, gets a result, says it's not done, goes again, fixes things, runs again, fixes things. And this whole dynamic way, this step, which is AI taking, has unblocked this idea that machines can code for you, given there is a clear direction. And you need not to tell the machine upfront, like here or here, that where to go and what to do. So you need not to specify this path. The machine specify its path based on the events and the results. This is beneath, this is the technology, or this is the new thing that has unblocked agents or this vibe coding. So this is the tech behind the tech. Now, what are the tools that are using this technology to give you all these functionalities? This is all the tools which I could find. There is Cloud Code, there is Cloud Google AI Studio, which we will be using today. There is Lovable, there is, and then I did a comparison on what I recommend for PMs, and I recommended these two, not because I love them a lot, or these green ones, because they are just easy to use. And the first two are basically free. So, and then I also put these ones, which is an upgrade, which allow you to even understand large code bases or run command line and do more. Then I talked about, hey, why is vibe coding even important? Okay, this tech is here, it can vibe code, but why should you care? We have three archetypes. We discussed about people who were already deeply technical PMs. Then we talk about technical savvy PMs, people who read blogs, people who want to know a lot about tech but never build anything, or can wanted to build but couldn't build. And then third one, which is mostly the people who stay away from tech as much as possible and wanted to build their PM function more about sales, more about collaborations, more about execution. And they never wanted to learn anything. And what is happening is this archetype, which is where the majority of PMs lied, is gaining a much more advantage now, because these guys can code anyways, and these coders don't want it to code, but these guys are coding a lot or building the first version of the prototypes and getting a different advantage for their own work, the work they are doing. They are getting productive in their own work using vibe coded build apps, or they are iterating fast with customers and getting the right feedback, or generating the first version of mock in hours rather than waiting for UX and waiting for customers to give feedback and months. They're able to reduce the timeline to ship the products, and they're able to get the insights what to build much faster than anybody else. And these guys are obviously like staying ahead. They are also vibe coding. But the main unlock, I believe, is for these people. So if you are in this block, maybe today's session is the best session you will ever learn. What can PMs do? It gives you agency, prototype, understand code, iterate fast, building MVP, good mocks, evaluate. And you will also learn the limitation of what is possible with vibe coding and why your engineering still need a lot of time to build a real solution. And that understanding can change how you interact with engineering, which people don't talk about. People are like, okay, I will be able to push engineering. When you actually do vibe coding, you will see the limitations and you will understand the timelines when your engineer says that, hey, yes, we can vibe code it, but after that, we need to handle these 5 different types of PDF with tables in them. And inside tables, there are images, and I have to handle that whole code. And that's why I need a week. And you're like, okay, let me try vibe coding, and it won't work for you. And then you will say, yeah, makes sense. Why don't you take 2 weeks and stabilize this? And I can sell this as a differentiated feature. This is where we discuss the limitations. We talk about that there is new code is less and more old code. We talked about that there are complex projects which require expertise to understand or debug. How are you going to interview? This is why you joined for. We took 10 minutes to bring you to the point where we can say, this is where we start the session. Good morning. Vibe coding interview, and how can you crack vibe interviews with vibe coding? If you just joined, you didn't miss anything. Thank you for joining. What it needs to succeed, I think vibe coding is seen as more like a technical skill, or and I continuously disagree with that. I think for PMs, vibe coding is still a tool to show your product sense, show your ecosystem understanding, and show that you bring AI product building expertise. These are the two things you should lament and not the technical expertise. I've seen this mistake again and again that whenever we say vibe coding or whenever I ask people for a technical interview, they just forget everything about product sense or product taste or product UX. Especially when you're vibe coding, take it more like a drawing board. So what are we looking for? Do you understand all these things? There's always this, the signal that we are looking for is, hey, are you staying up to date? Because that is an essential skill for PMs to stay up to date on the tech stack. That's one signal we get. We see that how we can judge you on your drawing or your mock skill. This is the new way of mocking. And third is iterations. Can you do fast iteration with customers to uncover the insights? How can you take this judgment forward? Your ability to debug the code, troubleshoot, live, like look in the code and say react and all that, it doesn't matter. Don't go there. Restart and say, okay, it's not working. I don't know. I will bring my agent. Let me try a couple of times. If it doesn't work, it's okay. Say that this is the skill. And I will show you next how to go about that. Case studies, we did. So here is the guide. I created this guide for you, which allow you to actually simulate, build, and handle these things. Let's say you are, let's do this mock. That's what I wanted to do with all of you. And we have 20 minutes. So I think I will be able to land this. Done good job of bringing you till here. Let's say you are vibe coding. Anybody wants to volunteer and simulate this with me? Okay, I give you this problem. Let me pick somebody who is awesome. I want to pick Sumitra, but Sumitra is maybe Pooja or Arjita. Pooja, you want to try? Okay, Pooja, you are my interviewer. Okay, two
Which
things, right?
Pooja?
So you are the only Pooja I know. So don't worry about the other Pooja today. Okay, please do not select everything. I gave you access to comment. But let's say there is a interview and you get into a live session where you are prototyping an AI assisted contract tool. So the problem that is given to you is, hey, legal is a blocking function in all the companies. Legal cannot move fast and they have a lot of contracts. We are building AI for legal, which allow them to process contracts faster. If you have done our cohort, you will resemble a lot with this problem because I am talking about this problem pretty much every day to all of you. But if you are new, this is a problem with every company face, every individual face, where we don't understand the contracts we sign. And also, if we sign a contract, we have to monetize them by extracting key terms, like what is the billing frequency, what are the billing terms, and put them in some back office function. So let's say somebody gives you that problem. What will you do about it? I know I gave you all the hints right now, but let's say you didn't open and you didn't get this document, which most of you got, 20 people. But how will you go about it? Let's say this is a vibe coding interview. We have set this up, technical interview. We say, hey, this app needs to be vibe coded. What will you do?
So probably first question, Mahesh, would be to understand the problem. What are you trying to solve here? So when you say AI assisted contract tool, can you please tell me more about what you are expecting from the tool and what is the problem that we're trying to solve here? It's more on that product sense strategy where you understand your goals, you understand the problem definition, then you understand why you need to solve and whether you really need. Again, I'm not getting there to our PRD whether you need AI because we are doing a vibe tool. I don't know if it's apt to ask that question, but I'm thinking more on
So
those lines.
what happens in these interviews is you read about all these frameworks, you have taught these questions on like, hey, let ask, clarify everything and all that. But in a real interview, when you are in that simulation, it feels like you get to have something and you have to go and start vibe coding. That's what the pressure is. So let me simulate this for you. And Pooja, I want to be the the guy who interviews, but I want to be the both. So let me play both. And when I don't know how to switch, maybe I turn on my collar, then I am the guy who interviewing. And then if I turn down, I'm the guy who is getting interviewed. So let's go into that, right? So the interviewer doesn't like, interviewer says, hey, this is a vibe coding interview. I am checking you for 3 or 4 skills. I want to see how you think. I want to see how quickly can you iterate. This is more a broader interview and I'm judging you for mostly technical skills. Having said that, I'm Mahesh. I'm working with Google, let's say for 15 years. I am pretty awesome. I don't tell you more. We have very less time. So let's quickly get to it. One problem I have is that our legal team is very sad, bad, and slow. And I thought we should build a legal tool for them that will allow them to process our contracts faster. They take today 6 to 8 weeks to process a contract. I want to reduce that to 2 days. And if you are a good person, I think you got enough signals. This time you can ask, like, what is the goal? But I told you the goal, right? Is this good enough for you, or you have questions after this? And then I will become the Mahesh, the person who interviews.
So I'll just try and reiterate what I understood. So we're trying to simplify the process for contract assessment. So probably step one is to extract the key terms, which gives a direction in terms of how you process the contract further. So for now, I'll take just that step one and try figuring out how to extract that key terms for you and then get to the tool or the
Yeah,
prompting. Is that how we go about it?
yeah, you're perfect. So
Okay.
then what happens is I say, oh, great. I have learned this V0 tool. This is Mahesh, the interviewee, the other side. Oh, thank you for your problem. This is a great problem to solve. Actually, I have seen the same problem in my company. Let me show you how to build it. Let me show you how I build it on V0. Build a contract management tool that allows lawyers to process contract faster in 1 to 2 days. In 1 to 2 days, process contract means extracting key terms and finding risks for negotiation. Okay, let's say you write this prompt and it start working and you live happily ever after, right? That's the wrong way to go about it. You ask this question, you started prompting. That's not what I wanted to see. What I wanted to see is the first step, which is I wanted you to discuss and narrow the scope with me. I wanted to see, okay, we are building it for in-house teams or the clerks. This will help you later on when you're building the user experience. Can we just say that, hey, we're going to reduce the time to process contract from 3 weeks to 2 days? That means we need to track how much time we are spending in processing a contract. You discuss with me what is the tightest MVP, which Pooja was trying to do. Then you say that, okay, we need to do the key term extraction and the risk management. For the maybe the MVP, we just extract key terms. It just allows us to reduce the stock, add value, and then do the risk because risk will be very subjective. And we know that AI can hallucinate on subjective things. So you do that discussion with them. And then you come up with your MVP requirements, which is you will upload a text contract, extract 3 to 5 key terms, display results, highlight extracted clauses and slap it and allow them. You also discuss some constraints. You say that, hey, the contracts can come in many forms and sizes. In the first version, we will just take the text and not PDF because extraction can be a big challenge to solve for vibe coded app or even for AI specific systems. We will not be using any database to store these. We will just use local memory. And I will focus more on UX clarity than the legal domain expertise because we can bring that later. Do you guys agree with me? You are all interviewing me today. That's the other way around. If you agree with me, then I will go into the build phase. And I will do at least bare minimum this that my app is building for key term extraction. My key term extraction, I have only one metrics, which is how fast can I get to key terms and how accurate is my extraction. Give accurate key term extraction in 10 minutes after a contract is uploaded. And I have taken, first I want to build it, and then I will add more things as we iterate specific to AI. So set that expectation first, that I'm trying to build the first version and I'm not going into AI specific things. Yet I will show you those qualities later. Then you go build the version one where you can just, then what I do is I will take these and I will say, show how the prompt code extract clauses, narrate your handle messy output, focus on minimum, but working slice. So your prompt should focus on all these things. And what I do is I generally do meta prompting. What is meta prompting? Anybody?
We asked the GPT to write a prompt for us, giving some
Great.
details.
That's exactly what I did. I went to GPT and I said, hey, I am building this thing. Can you give me a prompt? I just said, hey, build a prompt for vibe coding app. Like, so first I gave it a prompt, then it gave me a prompt for building real app in some cursor or something. Then I said, give me vibe coding app. But I just wrote this. I said, create a prompt that allow me to build an MVP, this. So if you're in an interview, don't start writing your prompts. Use meta prompting because it will just give you the first version of a good enough prompt. So AI generates the prompt for you. You copy that prompt, and I use this AI Studio, which is a Google tool. Have anybody played with AI Studio? Last time, I think Pooja or somebody showed us AI Studio and how to share screen and all. It does exactly like whatever Lovable, V0, Rapplet do, but it do it for free. And you can do much more. You can take this to production. You can connect it to the cloud. You can push into GitHub. So I'm liking it more. And next labs for our course also, we will move you to AI Studio because it is much richer and it's free. Then I go open this. I paste my thing here and it gives me the first version. I got the first version, which is I gave the exact same prompt that GPT gave me. I read it. I walked the interviewer through it. I said, hey, this is my prompt. This prompt covers for what is the goal, what we want. So this is the prompt. The user will upload a contract. We extract 5 key terms because we want to be accurate first. We'll show the result. And here are some constraints I have put, which is use this. There is no database. Sometimes I have seen these apps just go and try to create something and fail a lot. And I have given some output and I have given some deliverables, which is minimum app, single flow. And I have restricted it so that it can be built faster, so that you and me can start iterating faster. Does this look good? They agree on the prompt. You put the prompt in your V0 and you get an app. You get an app in 2-3 minutes while you just paste the prompt and then start discussing here and say, so I restored this checkpoint and you will see. The first version of app would look like this. Very simple. You can put a text contract and get some key terms out. So this is your working version. And while you paste this prompt in your prompt, and then you explain them that how or what part of the prompts are doing what function. All of you are following me? So what I have done is I have created an MVP requirement. I gave the MVP requirement to ChatGPT or somebody to create a prompt for me. And then I took that prompt and gave it to Lovable, V0, or AI Studio. That created my first version. Now what should I do? I have export to JSON. Anybody, any ideas? What next in the interview?
Iterate on the output.
Iterate on the output, iterate on the experience. You say, hey, this is great, but I know that in AI, bringing the user, how we got this information, bringing the transparency is very important. And in the beginning, I just wanted to test it, but now I want to iterate, or they will tell you to iterate, or you say, like I'm asking you guys, you can ask them, hey, any AI specific things you add? I have 5 ideas that I want to improve it. But before that, I want to see if you have something that you want to add to these requirements. And they say, of course, they will say nobody want to use their calories. So they will say, oh, what are your 5 ideas? Then you say, okay, my first idea is I will put a location here so the customer can verify where this information is coming from. Oh, I have this another idea that I know that AI can hallucinate and give wrong terms. So I will give an edit button. Oh, I have this another idea. And I jotted down these ideas for you. So you build the V1. Then the next step you go is then you show your AI specific taste and attention. You add a validation step. Where can we iterate on the contract side by side and also on extracted clauses? So I can see them side by side. And if I click on a location, I can verify that. You allow the comparison and you give the clause editing and you can go on and on. So then I created a new prompt which adds this and that landed me. So this is my new prompt, which did me compare side by side and the location piece. And then I put UX constraints and all. And then I got to this stage. If I restore this, if I give the same contract, now I can see side by side comparison. It did not add location, that I can add location after that. So now you will see a better user experience, hopefully fast enough. Because I'm trying to be fast, I forgot to show you 3 more things. I only gave you 2. Let me show you 3. So now I have, this is the extracted clause, this is the text clause, and I can export AI suggested rewrites. And now I have the whole side-by-side experience that I wanted. So the user can validate what they are seeing. And I have also added a couple of more things. I can did this compare A and B of a contract to a modified contract. That worked. Then what? So what? Then you add one last thing. You say, hey, actually, what I want to see is these three events for customer success, because remember, our goal is what? To reduce the time to do contract processing. So I will also add a dashboard which allows me to follow these three events, which is how many contracts are uploaded, what terms are extracted, what how many times they have exported the trigger. Because if they export, that means it was successful. Because if they don't export, they look at it, that means they never monetized it, and I don't have stickiness. But if they export my JSON, I am adding value. And then how many times they actually edited the clauses. Then you add your events and draft your metrics and add a disclaimer for responsible AI. Because you're building an app which is legal, you can say that I will add a disclaimer which shows that it's not a legal advice, so that the user understands. Now, what you're landing here, you're landing your product skills here. This has nothing to do with the engineering. This has nothing to do with the coding, debugging, resource-based access control, security, all that crap that you throw at me when I ask you technical questions. Please don't do it. Focused on your metrics, focused on your iterations, which shows me AI tastes, and build the first prototype on a narrowed scope. These are the three things I want you to learn. And this is our final app, which I built for the last prompt. And now you can go and do these and see this end to end. Hopefully, AI generated assistant only, not legal advice. Review all output before use. So now you have landed a lot to me. I got all my points and I could do it in 15-20 minutes. The tricks I used is meta prompting. I did iterations, and each iteration I added more. First, I showed you how can I narrow the scope and build something scrappy really quick. Then I showed you my AI taste, which is the UX side by side comparison, that, hey, people want to validate. The edit button, which allowed you to actually change the input and give feedback, which we can use to train our models, or at least people can work with our product while AI is not 100% accurate. Tips to succeed, which we just talked about, which is show your product thinking and decision making, AI specific evaluation, so that edit button and talk about that evaluation piece, build transparent and bring the limitations, and learn how to build this in production. Some people will ask you how to you will take you to production. Then you can bring in these tools like prompt flow in Azure or flow in AWS, Microsoft Copilot Studio, Power Automate, and you can say that I will transition this into that. We covered what is vibe coding. We covered what is working, what's not working, and we did a case study. Today, I wanted to go a little deep. We didn't remain on the top, but hopefully this practical way of actually handling it stays with you, and you can follow the word guide I shared to crack these interviews faster. Was the goal. Team, it was so much fun. We should do more of these kind of live things where we craft things together. I will see you again next Friday. And I think we are talking about vibe coding again, or it is a session
Next Friday,
with
we have
design.
a designing session. Yeah.
Design session. We have a guest and we will talk about taste in your products. So if vibe coding is about designing, then we will have an expert and we will do a podcast kind of interview, and she will bring in a lot of expertise in design and show you how to bring the best design practice to the world. So don't miss the next one. See you then. Bye, team.